Kia ora, ko Sharon Holt tōku ingoa. My name's Sharon Holt, and as well as being the author of Te Reo Singalong books, I am the person who does a Facebook page called Te Reo Māori Challenge. And the reason I do that is because I really want to help people, whether they're Pākehā like me or Māori who haven't got any background in speaking Te Reo, to be able to pronounce our place names correctly. So if they're Māori language place names, my view is that they deserve to be pronounced with Māori language pronunciation. But many of us have kind of grown up, as I did in Auckland, with thinking that places were called Manurewa, just because everyone said that, and I didn't realise. But now I know that Māori place names deserve to be pronounced with Māori pronunciation, and I know now about the link between the Māori people and the Māori language and the Māori culture. And so the reason that I do the work that I do is to help us all to get on that journey, to be starting at least to making efforts to pronounce our Māori language place names correctly, because you would be really surprised at how much of a difference it makes to a Māori person if you are making an effort to pronounce their place and also their name correctly. Even if you can't get it right, even just showing that you are making that effort and realizing that it isn't a certain way, it's another way, and you're trying to reach that way, makes a really big difference in the heart of a Māori person. And so that's a really good reason to do it. It just helps them to feel encouraged and uplifted rather than downtrodden. So I recommend it, have a go. And to start us off, I just thought I would help you with the basics of Te Reo Māori pronunciation. So there are 5 vowels in Te Reo Māori, and if you can get them right, then actually you've pretty much got the whole thing down pat. There's only a few more things after that to understand, but let's start with the 5 vowels in this video. So the vowels, as you know, in the English language are the letters A, E, I, O and U. So in Te Reo Māori, because it's a phonetic language that the people who came to New Zealand from Europe wrote those sounds down that the Māori people were saying, and so they were listening to the sounds and wrote them down. They used the English alphabet. So that's why the Māori language is written with the English alphabet, but just pronounced a little bit differently. So the letters A, E, I, O, U are the vowels in Te Reo Māori as well, and they're really important, much more important really than you would think, because they are consistently pronounced, and the Māori language is so full of vowels. Every word ends in a vowel, and every syllable should be broken at the vowel, which is a little bit different to English. So I thought we would use some of our place names. I live in Hamilton. Kirikiriroa is the Māori name for Hamilton, and I thought I would use some of our local place names in the Waikato region and Bay of Plenty region to help you to see that it actually isn't that hard. So with the letters A, E, I, O, U, in Te Reo Māori, they're pronounced A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. So there's a few songs. You might have heard the children's song Ma is White. It goes Ma is white, Whero is red, and then it goes through all the colours, and at the end it is A, E, I, O, U. And there's another one which is A, E, I, O, U, A, E, I, O, U. So those are really good ways of remembering the pronunciation of the vowels in Te Reo Māori. Another way that somebody told me that she learned was the sentence, are there 3 or 2? Like it's a question. Are there 3 or 2? Are there 3 or 2? The sounds in those words are exactly right for the vowels in Te Reo Māori. A, E, I, O, U. So if you take out the consonants in the sentence, are there 3 or 2, and just sound the vowels out, it's A, E, I, O, U. So that might help you. If it doesn't, forget it and just think about the A, E, I, O, U. or any other way you have of remembering those sounds. And then you just apply them to every Māori word, every person's name in Māori, every Māori place name, and basically that's the main tip that I can give you. And the key really to it all is to remember what I said about breaking every Māori word up at the vowel. So as you can see with these place names that I've selected, they all end in a vowel. Every Māori word does. So that's why every Māori word needs to be broken up at the vowel. So let's use this as an example. So I'm putting a break after every vowel in this word. So many people say Waikato. When they say this part, they're pretty much very close to the correct one, but they're saying something here like cat. And the reason they're doing that is because they're not breaking it up at the vowel, they're breaking it up at the consonant. So when we say Waikato, we're mispronouncing this A because it's ah. So this is ka. So this is Waikato, Waikato, Waikato. And so this cato is actually the main problem with the pronunciation, because people say cato, but this sound is a and this sound is o. So it's kato, Waikato. Can you say that? Waikato. So it's not too hard, is it? It's just remembering those vowels. Another really tricky one is what everyone says, Otrahonga, or sometimes they just shorten it to Oto, or Odo they probably say. But this letter O is always O. It's always pronounced O. A, E, I, O, U. When there's a macron over the top of the vowel, it just makes it a little bit longer. It's just a little line and it makes that vowel a little bit longer. So this is O, To, Ro, O, Toro, Ha, Nga, because this is A. O, Toro, Hanga. O Torohanga. So the difference between Otrahonga and O Torohanga is that these O's are all correctly pronounced. And in the Māori language, because it's phonetic, all of those vowels are meant to be pronounced either A, E, I, or U. There's only 5 vowel sounds and they don't change. So in English, we're constantly changing what the vowel sounds sound like depending on the word. But in Māori, this is always the sound O. And the only change will be if it's got a macron above it. So this is O, To, Ro, Ha, Nga. Some people find it easier if we just say the vowels, put a break and then say only the vowels. O, A, and then add the consonants. O, A, O, To, Ro, Ha, Nga. Now, this one, some people say Witianga, and some people even say Witianga. But the ng sound in Te Reo Māori is very soft. So let's put those breaks after every vowel again. Alright, so this is A, E, I. So this is Fi, Ti, A, Nga. Fitianga, Fitianga, Fitianga. So it isn't witty because it's got an H and the WH is sounded as F. Fitianga. And the nga sound is like the end of the word singer. If you say singer, I'm a singer, then the end of that is this sound, nga. Fitianga. Fitianga. Can you say that? Fitianga. It's not too hard, is it? It's a beautiful language. It's so lovely to hear Māori language pronounced correctly. So this sound here, which comes up in some of the other words we've got here, is au, au, au. You might have heard people use the word whānau. So whānau is family in Te Reo Māori, and whānau isn't whānau. Whānau. So this is au, a-i, au, a-i, hauraki, hauraki. The R is a little bit rolled. Ra, but if you can't do that, don't worry, just try and get the vowels right. Hauraki, hauraki. Let's look up here. We've got the same sound again as we had here, but this time it's tau, tau, ranga, tauranga. So we've got the anga here and the o here. Tauranga. Tauranga, not tauronga. And hauraki, not hauraki. You can probably hear the difference now. All of these A's will always sound like a. All of the U's will always sound like u. Hau, ra, ki. All of the letter I's will sound like I. Okay, let's do tau po. Tau po. Tau po, not taupo. So the sound at the end of this word is or, just like the one at the beginning of this one. The O is always going to be the sound or. Taupo, taupo. What about ro, to, ru, a? Ro, to, rua, not rotorua. Ro, to, rua, ro, to, rua. It takes a little bit of practice, and it's just making a starting effort and practicing on anything you come across, whether it's a Māori word or a place name or a person's name, and just putting a break after every vowel and remembering a, e, I, o, u. And when you start to get the hang of it and start feeling more confident, remembering that your brain needs to hear your mouth speaking it, so you're not just doing it in your head, you're actually practicing out loud, then when you see signposts as you drive around, it's really easy to look at them and go, oh, I'll try that. And for example, you might be driving in Auckland and you might see the signpost for Manurewa, and you've always said Manurewa, but you think, I'll put a break after every vowel, and it goes Manurewa. Manurewa, Manurewa, and you think, oh, wow, now I know how to say that. Let's look at this lovely one. Ngā, ru, a, wā, hi, a. Ngā, ru, a, wā, hi, a. Ngā rua wāhia. Ngā rua wāhia is a beautiful place and a beautiful place name. It sounds gorgeous, and people say Narrawahia, which isn't how it's written. And how it's written is how it's sounded, because it's a phonetic language. Ngā rua wāhia. When people say Narrawahia, as well as mispronouncing some of the vowels, they're also leaving out vowels, and that's the thing that happens because people see a long word like this and they don't know, there's too many vowels, they think, and so they'll just drop some, and that happens in some place names. But mainly it's just habit, mainly it's just role modelling that we've grown up with from people who've pronounced things incorrectly, so we've copied them, we haven't heard it pronounced correctly, or not very often, and we just kind of get into a bad habit of saying it incorrectly. But that doesn't mean that we have to keep doing it. We can always change. It's just the decision to make and to say, okay, I'm going to have a go. I'll give it a try and see how it goes. Let's look at this last one. We've got the au here again. Au, tau, maru, nui. If you look at the signs for tau, maru, nui, it's not, people say tau maru, they say tau here, but this is tau. Tau maru nui, there's actually a U there. Tau maru nui, and that's pronounced U because it's the letter U. A, e, I, o, u. Tau maru nui. So that's some of those for you to hopefully feel a little bit inspired by. If you want to see any more of the things that I'm doing with place name pronunciation, you can look on Facebook at Te Reo Māori Challenge. Love to see you there. Ka kite.